JD Dishman, the Comic Otaku, and, well, I'm doing another Let's Draw, or some, and I'm going to use this to get this, announce my latest project. Hashtag Cough Squad. Anyway, this is a reboot of my Beyond's webcomic I was doing. I was thinking about rebooting it and figuring out a way to integrate a extra side story comic into it. So basically, here's how it's going to work. This new comic's going to be focusing on the team, but there's also going to be side comics too that focus on different members of the team, or maybe even villains or other characters inside the universe. I'm thinking about actually just basing the idea around how a Shonen Jump book is set up, or an old-fashioned anthology book. Like, for instance, they just put, one one story in one area and one story in the other area. So basically, I'm going to split the story, the first story, into 3 parts. Well, maybe 4 if you include the prologues and stuff. And then, well, add a few side stories to it anytime I feel like it, or kind of like a natural buffer system. So if I didn't get get a certain amount of pages done on near that page, I can always rely on the extra story I had planned as a backup play. I could just work on as many extra stories as I can to go as a backup plan in case of, well, I forget. Or either forget or forget. Not forget, but don't have enough time to finish the book. Excuse me, sorry, I just ate. Okay. Okay. Basically, in this image, I decided to draw the entire team, No hidden members, no later members. This is the entire team for the whole book. Okay. First of all, the team is going to comprise of Kunai, Next Gen, Sodar, Jeremiah, Linus, Warhead, and Redbow, or aka formerly Longbow. Anyway, okay. The reason behind the name change for Longbow was to make her a little shorter and a lot more easier to type into the word balloons. It was always problematic to type them into word balloons and stuff. So I thought, well, just shrink the name. By instead of focusing on our long distance ability for her name, it's still there. But I didn't want her name to be based on her power. So I named her Redbow because her costume's red now. Entirely red. There's some areas that are probably different color, but you know what I mean, right? And there's okay. And Kunine, however, I decided to add another color into his costume, purple. So to balance out the blues, and the purple would, kind of give you the idea that he looks like he's going to hurt you or he's a villain or something. In reality, he ain't a villain. It's kind of like a psychological thing I was putting together. And Next Gen suit in this series is going to be different from the one from Stupendous Next Gen, because it's mostly more of a liquid metal technology, in this one. And it's kind of modular liquid nanotech, or whatever you like to call it. Sorry. And yeah. And then there's the ex-Chinese super weapon, Warhead. Warhead was pretty interesting to draw in this one. I wanted him to look like a big Hulk-like monster, like my idea of what the Chinese Hulk would look like. And it looks pretty cool. I think one idea of it is that the areas are that are gray on his skin are actually the hardest parts of his body. He's super strong, durable, and probably he can probably regenerate, but I don't know. I'm still working on how far he can regenerate, you know. But he's actually got a lot of power. But the problem is with that power, he really has a limit. I mean, longer he stays as Warhead, the longer his power drains out. Let's just think of him as a powerful weapon that loses power over time. Like the longer he stays as Warhead, the shorter his power supply is going to get. And then there's Lioness, who it's so cool. Anyway, she's kind of like what you would call all the arrogant jerk of the team or an SJW, which I don't think she's going to be an SJW. She's probably going to be kind of the arrogant jerk of the team, like the Damian Wayne, you know. It's pretty cool. I'm still working out if I'm going to call her Linus in the book or just use some kind of, you know, translated word for her name. Anyway, as you can see here, I was drawing Kunine's claws and stuff. I read or learned about that ninjas had these weird, big, bulky claw things, so it made sense that Shredder would have them too. And when I was coming up with Kunine's weaponry, I thought, hey dude, I could just use that as a cool, you know, weapon on his glove and everything. It'd be pretty awesome. All these designs, except for Sodar's, are recent reworks, the works of each character. And there's Jeremiah. A character had in my head for years, but couldn't figure out how to make him work. Then I figured out, why don't I just have him as some sort of immortal sorcerer, well, near immortal sorcerer, or whatever you like to call him, with all that power he has. Like he's got all the mystical knowledge of the world inside of his glove, literally. And it allows him to manipulate stuff, you know what I'm saying? Control the control magic and stuff. As for next gen's armor, like I said, it's based a little bit on nanotech. It's kind of like a liquid metal with nano building technology, you know. There's a limit of what he can do because of the building material, the stuff that the nanobots swim inside of, and then harden and make it work, or is limited. And it's hard to explain how it exactly works, but it's pretty cool. So you can make almost anything, but just think of it as some sort of liquid 3D printer technology. Like the suit itself, the metal, liquid metal parts are actually the builder material, and the 3D printer part is the nanites inside of it that make it flexible and more durable. Anyway, yeah. For Redbow, I decided to redesign her costume, which, yeah. Here's the ironic thing is I forgot to put her eyelashes in. I was going to put some eyelashes in her design. In her, you know, drawing here. Guess what happened? I forgot. I'm only human, you know. But hey, it looks pretty good still, no matter what, but yeah. And you can tell that I was having trouble with her the most because I messed up a few times on just drawing her body and everything, so yeah. And let's just say I couldn't exactly decide where some elements had to go, like her body, her arms, everything about her. But when I finally got it sorted out, it looks pretty cool. Like I said, I was having troubles drawing her. And all that mess. Ugh. Anyway. Now, Soda was pretty interesting to draw. She's still the funny character from the pilot. I love that aspect of her. But I decided to give her a more flirty costume, you know. Like, she's a little oblivious to the fact that she's very flirty. looks very flirty. In reality, she ain't very flirty in personality. As for Warhead, I gave him the spikes because I wanted to show specs and stuff, and like I said, the gray areas on his skin that will be colored soon are actually representative of his ability to... Those are actually the hardest parts of his body, so literally hardest, not the hardest, to draw, but the hard areas where when you get hit by these will hurt you the most. He's very vulnerable in these areas, so yeah. But if you hit him in his main body, the parts that aren't covered with the gray stuff around him, then you might have a better shot at hurting him. And I also gave him some yellow teeth to show that he's probably been in captivity. There's a kind of a secret behind him, but I'll leave that to the comic. Anyway, Linus's color scheme, when I was coming up with it, I was getting about orange and yellow, but yeah. You can see why for a minute. I gave Warhead some red eyes to make him look like he's very angry and very vicious and stuff. And shadowing was a little bit difficult here because I was actually trying to figure out where all the shadows had to go. But hey, at least I did a decent job at it. So the next part I had to do was to adjust. Okay. Let me see. What's the next part I had to do? Oh yeah, that's right. After I did this, I actually colored in the energy effects and stuff like that, and also Solar's jewel effects. On the jewels, I decided to color in one layer and then delete some elements, erase the parts of it to show it's a little shiny. Well, anyway, we're almost done, so yeah. Hope you guys enjoy this piece, and I hope you enjoy the Beyonds. See ya.